What happens when a black guy, a white dude, and an Hispanic man happen to be pro wrestling marks? You get debates, roasting, and fun in Jeek Nation's newest podcast, Breaking Ring Rust. And it starts right now. This is our number one first ever episode of Breaking Ring Rust. So to start, we're going to do some intros so you know who your hosts are. If you listen to our other podcast, the original Jeek podcast, you know who I am, Rockinmrmagic. But first, we're going to have JT and Ray introduce who they are. I'm going to ask some questions so you know who they are as far as their wrestling fandom. And then we're going to move on with the rest of the show. To start, since I asked him first to be on the podcast first, JT, we're going to go first. First question I have for you, of three, is when did you become a mark?
When I was 3 years old. I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, home of Jim Crockett Promotions, and my grandfather and I would sit on Saturday mornings and watch wrestling, and I remember a lot of the angles from those days, and my grandfather actually died from having a heart attack watching professional wrestling, and that's a shame. Wow. So I was a mark from a young age, and growing up in Charlotte, saw a lot of the wrestlers at the supermarket, things like that. Growing up working out at Steamboat's Mid-Atlantic Gym. So I was a mark from a young age.
Wow. So your grandfather passed away. Does that make it more of a kind of die doing something he loves type of thing? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, power you to
absolutely. Yeah, my grandfather was like this tiny little man, and he would literally sit on the edge of the couch and would be totally into it and would be, talking to the TV and referee, you saw that, he was cheating, he totally bought into it. This was a completely different era. Kayfabe was alive and well, you're talking about early 80s, and he, would really buy into it. And, he really just was totally absorbed into it, and that's some of my earliest memories, if not my earliest memories, are as a 3-year-old watching wrestling in their house, and so him having a heart attack from that, and that leading to his death, absolutely instilled it as a big part of my life.
Wow, really cool. Okay. I know the answer to this, but our listeners don't. Your favorite wrestler?
Then? Now or lifetime?
Of all time.
Okay. All time, you're asking me to pick my favorite child, but I can't pick a favorite between HBK and the Nature Boy.
Okay. So you've got a tie.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll go with Nate. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday with Sean, and Sunday, I love them both the same. So
there you go.
And it's probably no secret then what my favorite match would be either.
Of course. Okay. So last one, which is probably going to be between the two of those. Your favorite finisher of all time.
My favorite finisher of all time, not one you hear a lot, but the Burning Hammer.
Really? The Burning Hammer?
The Burning Hammer.
Delivered by who?
Not so much who it's delivered by. I just think it's just such a sick looking move, I think probably like anyone my age or about, I discovered it through video games, and then I've seen it delivered, mainly by Japanese wrestlers and a few guys from, the independents, because you're never going to see that on a main scale, at least not truly delivered. You're not going to see that in WWE. But gosh, that's such a sick looking move.
Not since Wade Barrett.
And even he didn't deliver, at least not in my opinion, the true way of just spiking it out,
Right.
And so that all time, is my favorite move. As far as a finisher, I just think that's just a sick move.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing. Ray,
What's
when did
going on?
you first become a mark?
That was right before WrestleMania 3. I was being loud and annoying, and my grandmother made me sit down and watch the guy she had a crush on, Hulk Hogan. And that was me falling in love with wrestling.
Hulk Hogan was over with your grandmother. Awesome.
Oh, my God. She loved him because she's Italian, he's Italian. All she talked about how hot he was and why they had to make him Irish. And,
Well, you know something, Grandma.
yeah,
Okay.
the sad part is they're probably around the same age. She might be 5 years older than Hogan, so.
Oh, okay. Well, she's in the age range.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know this, but for the listeners, your favorite wrestler.
There's a Pastamania joke in there somewhere.
Well, there is. Right now, he's got a limp noodle, brother. Favorite wrestler of all time
All time.
would be The Undertaker.
Okay, the dead man. Okay, I didn't expect that to come out of your mouth.
Only because he reinvented himself so many times. 28 years of the same gimmick, but not the same gimmick. The look, the treatment. Best character ever in wrestling.
Okay, and then I can't argue with that. Taker is one of my favorites, and you're right. I mean, the same gimmick yet revamped, rehashed, and everyone has their favorite Taker version. Some love, the big evil heel biker Taker. Some people love the original, with Paul Bearer. Actually, not the original with Brother Love. And then having the vignettes with Paul and the funeral parlor. Like, everyone has their favorite Taker version. That's a great choice. Okay.
Yeah, the original Undertaker is the best, and I love Ministry Undertaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I can interject real quick, I always had this fantasy. I always wanted to pull up beside original Undertaker in a car and just have him turn and look over and see Undertaker driving a car, and then just have him reach out the hand and roll his eyes back and then just drive away. I always thought that'd just be the coolest thing in the world.
That would be pretty interesting, to say the least.
And that was
I wonder if he does that.
And that was before I started doing drugs.
I wonder if he ever does that. He's in the car, and Michelle McCool's next to him, and he looks at her and gives her a grin, and I'm going to mess with these people over here, and looks over at him with that slow turn of his head, rolls his eyes back. Probably freaks a lot of people out.
That would be the best thing ever, huh?
All right, and then what is your favorite finisher?
Looks-wise, the Canadian Destroyer, I would say, is one of the coolest finishers I've seen.
That's a good pick. Canadian Destroyer is one great-looking move. I remember the first time I saw Petey Williams hit it, and I was like, wow, what in the world was that?
Yeah, you have to kind of rewind it, hit it in the slow-mo, and kind of try to figure out
how in the world that happened.
A
Cool.
great finisher.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's my setup move on all the WB 2K games.
Okay. Canadian Destroyer is your setup. That's a heck of a setup.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will put my info out there. I became a mark. I can't say the exact year. It was in the 80s. Probably. Oh, man. It was definitely late 80s. I credit Ted DiBiase for making me a mark. I love the look. I love the laugh. I'm a natural born heel for some reason, and DiBiase did it for me. I loved, I'm a flashy guy, so I loved the glitter on the jacket, the way he walked. It was just I was like, this man's got it.
I thought you were going to say you love Virgil. And I was like, yeah.
Virgil, I'm probably one of his only fans. Mm-hmm. Mike Jones, I would probably, along with Virgil, I probably would have stopped and said hi to him before I walked away from his booth.
He's not selling it, Ray. He's not selling it.
No, he's not.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to sell it because I actually do like it.
Who? Yeah. Who?
Nobody likes Virgil.
No.
Not even Virgil likes Virgil.
No, actually, that's not true. Matt was the one person who paid the $5 in the New York subway for his autograph.
That's right. And I got my $2.50 change.
Yeah. And Virgil went and bought, and then Virgil went and bought some meat sauce. Didn't get anything else with it, just the meat sauce. That was all he could afford with Matt's $5.
Hey, he got
at
something.
Olive Garden in New York City.
I'll leave the man alone. He was teaching in Pittsburgh for a while.
What class?
I don't know. He was teaching at Pittsburgh Central Catholic, actually.
So he was asking the girls if they wanted their meat sauce.
You didn't know that? He was teaching at Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Oh yeah.
Wait a minute. They had Virgil teaching at a religious school? At
a Catholic school, yes.
Oh God! I hope he wasn't in that indictment in Pennsylvania.
I don't know.
Well, no. In all fairness, I could, if they're molesting little girls, I could see Virgil in that, but not the little boys. I'll say that for him.
Yeah, Pittsburgh Central Catholic is an all-boys school, so.
Yeah, so I'll give Virgil a pass. I'll say he probably didn't diddle the little boys.
He wasn't teaching there when I was there, so I don't know.
So he was turning the other way as the other priests were giving their.
Well, he was in the NWO when I was there, so he was still on TV. My favorite wrestler, as you both know, is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. For so many reasons. From what he could do in the ring, promos, I love it. Just love HBK. From the Rockers to now, love me some HBK. And my favorite finisher is tough because I like a lot of finishers, obviously because of my fandom with Shawn. I love Sweet Chin Music. But my first favorite, and probably still is, Razor's Edge. I love the Razor's Edge. I loved how, Scott set him up and then he posed and it was a power bomb unlike any other power bomb. And then after he would plant him, does the old with the hands and wiping his hands with them. Loved it. Loved every part of that move. So Razor's Edge, my favorite finisher.
Speaking of power bombs, unlike any other power bombs, did you ever see the helicopter?
I believe I've seen that.
Which was Oz's finishing move.
Yes.
Where he would basically get them up in the Razor's Edge and then spin them and toss them.
Yep.
And that is a move, and I trained, you trained. That's a move I don't think I'd want to take because you don't have a whole lot of control over where you're going.
Yeah, you've got no control where you're landing.
Right. There's a lot of moves you can control where you're going, and that one, you're just, cross yourself a few times and pray you land in the right spot.
Yeah.
Because that,
that's insane.
Yeah.
Well, just like, I don't know if you've seen in Japan, some guy lifted another guy, put him up in for the F5, but spun him completely around.
Mm-hmm.
He did 2.5 revolutions. I'm like, bro, I'm not taking that.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. I mean, F5, I don't have a problem with. I'd take an F5 from you.
Yeah.
Because I know you
take an F10 where I'm spinning you around?
No, there's too much that can go on. There's, and again, and this is, I know this is where people say I'm the old man waving his fist at the sky, but, there's been a long-standing tradition in wrestling, and when I train, and I'm sure when you trained, especially knowing the people you train with, when you're in wrestling, you take care of yourself, you take care of the people that you're working with, and there are a lot of guys out there who just aren't taking care of anybody, much less themselves.
True.
And it's dangerous out there, and I see stuff, and it bothers me because things just aren't being taken care of. And granted, when I trained, it was 20-something years ago. It was, and I trained very little, not the extent you did. But it was, let's try to keep this safe and make sure it looks real. And now, let's make this stuff as violent and as painful as possible, even though everybody knows it's quote unquote fake.
Right.
And then the people in the audience are laughing out while somebody's got a hard way and maybe legitimately hurt, or paralyzed. And it's like, I think we got something backwards here, guys.
Yeah. But when the kayfabe left, all of a sudden we got to make it look realer, and then you got people who are just crazy.
Yeah.
And we end up with, the circular cycle where it's like, okay, everyone knows it's a work, but we're acting more and more like it's not a work. Like New Jack would be great for that right now because, everything he did was virtually a shoot because he just couldn't work.
Well, no, something that was really good, and I know when we did our test run last week, I was joking about having watched Fall Brawl 98. And you guys were all laughing about, oh, God, that was terrible. But even though the end of this match was terrible and it was an atrocity, if you watch Rick and Scott Steiner fighting each other, they laid that in.
Oh, yeah, the Steiners were known for laying it in.
But they're working against each other, and man, did that look good. But I guarantee it was safe. But that looked amazing. That looked like a fight. It looked like a legit beef. It looked like a legit contest. But I guarantee you it was safe. I guarantee you Rick and Scott didn't have to worry about one of them going to the hospital.
Yeah. Well, it's different when you got Rick and Scott because you got two collegiate wrestlers who've been beating each other up their entire lives. Mm-hmm. So they know how much they can get away with when it comes to pulling, throwing a work punch, and how much they can actually lay into each other. So they can do that and have a really realistic looking match compared to them wrestling someone else who they're just not as familiar with. They had that leeway. But a lot of the greats were known for have just laid it in. Austin, I'm not a big Austin fan, but he was known for saying, hey, lay it in. I'm going to lay it in on you. Lay it in on me. Yeah. It enhanced the realism. It made it work.
Wait, you're not an Austin fan?
No, but we'll get into that one at a time.
Don't get him started.
Hold on.
No. We will go down. We'll go down the rabbit hole. We don't got time for that now on this show. We'll hit that on another show. Trust me, you don't.
I just need one question answered. Which version of Austin do you not like, Stone Cold or Stunning Steve?
Stone Cold.
Oh, I always thought it was the person you didn't like.
At first, I don't like the fact that he's beating up 8 women. I don't like that at all.
Well, he's a tough guy from Texas.
I know a lot of tough guys from Texas that don't beat women either.
That's true.
8 women, those dumbas were inflated by the Democrats to make me look bad.
Hey, I'm not the one who put the rebel flag on his shirt either. He acted like that wasn't there. But I digress.
He's a redneck, though.
That's no excuse either.
They do that in Texas.
They do that. There's idiots in Pennsylvania doing that, and they're not even close to Texas.
That's true.
All right, so
I saw somebody flying a rebel flag by my work the other day, and I'm like, I want to walk over and just be like, hey, you're on the wrong side of the line, brother.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you're on the wrong side.
Literally on the wrong side of the Mason-Dixon line. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Those people are stupid. All right, so we can't go down that rabbit hole. We'll be here all night, and I have to pick up my son in an hour. So,
all right, we need to do a whole Stone Cold show one day.
We will. I promise you, Ray, we will do a Stone Cold episode entirely to Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'll even have you watch a match and have you two call a match for that.
Listen, I didn't say I should get punished for suggesting.
Trust me, it'll be a good one.
By the way,
Rock Austin.
By the way, when it's my turn to pick a match, I've already got a match picked out that you two are going to call.
Okay, I'm with it.
I've already got it picked out, just so you know.
All right. So I'm going to skip segment 1 because we just had to talk about Austin. So we're going to do this is a quick part of the show where I'm calling Bury It or Push It. I'm going to throw some quick hitters out there.
I was hoping we were skipping that part of the show.
No, we're not skipping that. No. Don't mess with my format. All right. And these are quick hitters, so it means you don't have to elaborate much. All right.
Got it.
First topic.
Is Tony Schiavone showing up?
No. There's only room for one sexy bearded man, and that's me.
Excuse me. I'm already filling that role. Thank you.
Wait, no. I'm filling the role.
Both of your beards combined can't fill mine. What are you talking about?
Sure, that's less of a beard and more of a bush at this point.
What are you talking about? This is what real men look like.
You look like Macy Gray's crotch right now.
Hey, but it's still sexier than you, though.
You like if they recast like a Black Papa Smurf.
Yeah, but my hair's not white enough for that.
Well, soon.
Yeah.
Papa Smurf might have black hair.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
He's got a white beard. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? All right. So number one, bury to push it. Again, you don't have to elaborate. So bury it and why, push it why. Flair's wedding, the kiss, the infamous kiss. I know you've seen this picture on the internet. The infamous kiss. Burying it or pushing it?
Gross. Bury it deep, deep, deep. Oh, God, it was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. What I'd push is the picture of him, Rodman, and The Undertaker with The Undertaker double fisted.
That was awesome. That was too sweet. I
love Ric Flair, but you got to bury that picture because I'd love to unsee that. That's the bottom line.
Well, we heard from Austin. Yes, I'm also going to join the consensus. I'm burying that. I know he's been with Fifi for a long time. I'm surprised it took him so many years.
He's been with Fifi since I was on the Flair for the Gold, and that was back when I was a Hollywood Blonde.
That's right. And
it only took him.
It only took him what,
That's
20?
Bottom line.
It took him what, 20 years and a health scare to finally marry the woman?
Wow.
I think Conrad got him some of that blue chew, and that helped out.
There it is. All right, so 2 now. One of you already expressed your lack of interest, but I don't care. People like power couples. Keith Lee and Mia Yim have gone IG official as a couple, which is kind of surprising because I still think that she and Shelton still have been rusting the sheets. But she and Keith Lee are now basking in his glory.
Didn't you create an oxymoron when you said power couple? You have to have power to be a power couple.
Yes.
Hey, Keith Lee is all about that power. You gonna bask in that man's glory.
This is like a monk having one testicle. It's completely irrelevant. No one knows. No one cares.
I'm gonna bury it because I don't give a shit.
All right, so give me your favorite wrestling couple.
My favorite wrestling couple?
Wait, do they have to be a real couple or an on-screen couple?
Lexi and Murphy.
Real couple, and both of them are workers. One can't be a manager or valet. They actually got to be workers.
I've just answered you 3 times.
Triple H, China.
Okay. I can go with that one. I can't argue with that one. It's probably the best one.
Ever.
Of course, it didn't last that long, but I mean, you need China and X-Pac. I mean, that wasn't great. I mean, they made the video and everything.
Did you see The Surreal Life?
I tried not to poison my television with that.
Well, it sounds like you watched the video, so we can only guess what he was doing with The Surreal Life.
No, I definitely wouldn't want to watch that video.
You brought up the video, but then you poo-pooed This Real Life. Okay, I'm questioning your standards there, sir.
Oh, no, my standards are, hey, The Surreal Life gets mentioned. The video is just, unfortunately, a point of topic. It's definitely not something I would want to see. Not only is China not exactly built the best naturally, let alone plastically, but who in the world wants to see Sean Waltman with anywhere near? Like, I don't want to see him in the singlet, let alone with less clothes on. That's not for me. I'm good.
I just remember, Sean showing up at this Real Life house, like high as kite, being like, "Come on, baby, let take your clothes off and get in the pool with me," and just be like, I didn't want to see what either one of them were packing.
Neither did I.
No.
X-Pac has always been disgusting, but that's a different story.
I mean, here's the thing. I was a fan of him when he was the Lightning Kid in GWF. Mm-hmm. Thought he was an amazing worker. I will never downplay his in-ring prowess.
No, you have to be a fool to.
Now, as a human being,
that's a whole other ballgame.
If you want to call him that.
Well, I think he's matured.
Yeah, he takes care of the special needs dog now.
He has a special needs dog. I'm not
Hey,
I'm not
is it wrong to say takes one to know one?
I'm not.
I think the dog's mouth doesn't shut or something, but he carries it around in a baby carrier.
Only that would happen to Sean.
Oh Lord, he wouldn't be able to make money if he. Oh no, he doesn't shut his mouth. That's how he makes money.
Well, if only we get Sean's mouth to shut and not open, is what I meant.
See, I have this dislike thing with Sean. Like, I don't know. Of course, I loved his in-ring work for the most part. He couldn't cut a promo to save his life, which is surprising that he's making money on his own podcast.
He
now.
had a couple good promos back in the day.
Yeah.
3? But name them. I mean, come on, I can't even think of one. I mean, I said 3, not to stretch. I can't.
I'm going to say 1. The night he came back after WrestleMania, and that was pretty much it.
That was his best promo, and we know he didn't write
There were
that.
a couple against Jarrett that were good.
You know, one just really ruined it for me, and it sticks in my head because it was so bad. I can't get any good ones out. It's that whole X-Pac and Tori Christmas story promo that he cut when he engaged with. That was so bad.
That whole story was just bad.
So bad.
Yeah.
Well, the whole X-Pac, Tori, Kane fiasco was pure shit. So.
Yeah, and Tori was probably one of their most wasted people because she could actually work.
Yes.
And that was back when they had women who couldn't work, and they're like, hey, we have a woman who can work, let's not use her.
Well, they had 3 women who could work, and they didn't use that one. And they would barely use Jackie, and then they would every once in a while use Ivory. But they really wouldn't use them together.
Well, everyone else was using Jacqueline, so.
Oh, Lord, let's not go there. All right, number 3. Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix stay in the Indies forever, push it or bury it.
Well, I mean, there's tons of rumors right now that Pentagon's getting looked at by WWE, and I would love to see him do that. I am a huge Pentagon fan. Loved him in everything I've ever seen him in. Huge Lucha Underground fan. I know that's probably surprising for the guy who's the wrestling fundamentalist, but I think he's amazing, and I think if you had the people who could handle him the right way, he could be huge in WWE. Although I think he would probably be at his strongest in NXT because Triple H would know how to handle him, and then Vince would be like, "What are we going to do with him? He wears a mask, and he's."
I can't see his face, so what am I going to do? He's got a mask on.
What are we? Can we put him in the cruiserweight division? He's too big.
He's a thick cruiserweight. What am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
He doesn't look vascular.
Not as vascular as you, boss. Gosh, Vince, your arms look good
So
today.
if Pentagon does go, which I doubt, but if he does go, does Phoenix go with him?
Yes.
I think
but
so.
He's not going for 2 years since they re-signed Rey Mysterio. Out of torture and out of sheer they need a cruiserweight. So I think after Mysterio's gone,
why did they have to sign Rey Mysterio?
I have no idea.
Hey, Ray had a great match at All In. I mean, he can still go.
No, he's done.
Ray had a good match for the limited use that he was in, and for his age. But he's got a lot of injuries. And he's carrying too much muscle for his frame. And let's be honest, Ray's lost a step. And when your whole gimmick,
of course, he's like 40-something,
right? But and like I was saying, when your whole gimmick is that you can do stuff that nobody else can, because and now you've lost a step, and people are doing stuff now that you never could do. Phoenix can do stuff that Ray never could.
Right.
Well, you got to remember, Rey Mysterio has that magic power that causes all wrestlers to fall into the middle row and stay there indefinitely until they get.
Here's one thing I'll give.
That is a really nice power to have.
Here's the one thing I'll give WWE credit for. Ray used to do that feint kick in WCW, and it was just a throwaway spot.
Yeah, no one cared.
Somebody was like, "Hey, if you just turn that into kicking people in the face."
Yeah, and then we'll scream 619 all the time.
Right. And it became the most over thing. And look,
you got to give their creative credit for that, because that move was nothing in WCW.
I was giving them creative credit.
No, I know. I'm saying, I'm just saying, I'm agreeing with you. Like, you really have to give them credit for that, because as a throwaway move that looked cool that he would do every once in a while, For them to take that to be his finisher, aside from the springboard, Hurricane Rana pin, that was an amazing work of marketing and creative genius on their part.
And here's my thing with Ray too. Okay, like, did anyone ever see When Worlds Collide?
Yes.
Yeah.
To me, When Worlds Collide, people sold Rey Mysterio's moves accurately. There's a spot in there, if you go back and watch it, he does a drop kick off the apron onto Luis Piccoli. And Luis Piccoli basically shrugs it off. Why? Because he was like 130 pounds.
Yeah.
Luis Piccoli was like 250, When you had big guys who were overselling for someone his size, it took the notch of believability away from me. Now, I'm not saying you can't have the David and Goliath story where the little guy beats the big guy.
Right.
But you got to tell the story. He takes the legs out. He's doing the drop kicks to the knees, kicking the leg. He's hitting and running. He's going back and forth. On the Man Class, and they did a great story with that with Casey Catanzaro. But you got to tell the story the right way.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say, okay, there's two people that have equal skill, and one's bigger and one's smaller. If you got equal skill, then physics is going to say that the bigger person's going to win if they have equal skill. And when I go and see him wrestling like Dean Malenko and stuff, especially at first, I was just like, no, I don't buy it. Like I see him beating Brad Armstrong, because who doesn't beat Brad Armstrong?
Brad Armstrong.
Right. When he beat, like, I think he wrestled, I can't remember if it was him or who he wrestled Reese from the Flock.
Oh, that was Hoovy.
Right. Like, Reese was a flunky. A big, tall.
He was a 7'4" flunky.
Right, but he was a flunky.
No, he was a Yeti. He was a Yeti.
And he a Yeti.
A Yeti, I'm sorry.
And he was, and they told that story. He was kicking him in the legs. He's kicking him in the knee, kicks him in the junk. He broke him down, and he was basically a big lump, and Hoovy just bounced around him, and they told that story. But they made some leaps of kind of like going beyond believability. To me, it's like, yeah, I know it's a work, but give me something I can still sink my teeth into. Right. And I was talking to my friend Matt on the way down to Philadelphia, and we were talking, and I was talking about last week, and I was saying, like, I was trying to explain how it's not that I don't like the new wrestlers. It's not that I dislike the Young Bucks or that I dislike the Kenny Omegas and people like that, because I actually do have a lot of respect for them. What I dislike in the dance routines in the middle of the wrestling matches, with their opponents. When a certain wrestler have people grab onto his tiny winky and then he flexes his muscles and flips them.
Right.
Garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Shakar garbage. Or when you're doing something that very obviously shows you're cooperating with someone else.
Right.
And this is the analogy that I use. I love Marvel movies, okay? They're probably in film genre in my top 3, okay? Them and Star Wars movies, okay? And you could switch this analogy out with either one of them. I know they're fake, right? I know their work. I know when I'm watching a Marvel movie, I know that's not Robert Downey Jr. doing all the stunts.
Right.
But if they stop and switch out the stunt man on film, that ruins it for me. They make pains to make sure I know that's not the stunt man. You know? In Infinity War, I know they weren't really on Thanos' home planet. But they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in CGI to convince me they were.
Right.
So is it too much to ask in wrestling that they try to convince me they are really competing?
That's an excellent question.
Wait, hold on. They weren't really on Thanos' planet?
What's because
real to me, damn it.
That's because it's on a. Well, Ray, that's because it's on a planet. He's from Titan. It's a moon outside of. It's on the side of the moon.
That is true.
It's a moon. All right. So speaking of, speaking of, being worth it, we were talking. You and I, Ray, we're talking about WW2K. And that we weren't really looking forward to getting another one, but then they released some interesting footage about 2K19 that may be swaying you. Why don't you? Well, let me ask you: Are you gonna bury that? Or are you gonna push it?
Oh, I'm gonna bury the fuck out of that game. What a piece of shit! Since 2016 on, it's been the piece of shit.
But
you don't want gold AJ Styles?
Nobody wants gold AJ Styles. Nobody wants House of Horrors. Nobody wants a roster they're not going to play 90% of the people on. Nobody wants the pirate girl from NXT.
I do.
All right. Well,
they're talking about to play on the game.
Yeah, I'm talking about in the game, not really.
No, I wouldn't play this guy. Come on, I love her.
Nobody wants 25 205 live guys because let's be honest, nobody watches the shit. So nobody knows who they are.
I want Leo Rush and Ricochet.
And I sure to fuck am.
And Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali.
Boycotting it for 15 Daniel Bryans. Nobody needs them. Nobody wants them.
Yeah, no one wants 15 Daniel. No one wants. I don't want one, let alone 15.
We got 15 Daniel Bryans. No Antonio Ciampa, but no Hogan.
But the Kalinas are on there.
Yeah, but we're gonna.
But we're gonna get Mike and Maria back.
Yeah, they were on for 2 months, so we gotta have them. Nobody even remembers them.
I didn't even remember. I didn't even realize they were back.
It's the stupidest thing in the world, and that's why I hate 2K. So I'm not going to buy the game this year. First time since WWF Warzone that I'm not going to buy a game.
So what if it's in the PlayStation Store and it's the deluxe version and it's $25?
No. I'm just not wasting my money this year.
All right, JT.
I'm going the opposite way. I've already ordered the Woo package.
Oh, wait, you spent $100 on that?
Tell me that's like $130.
$130 on that?
No, I didn't spend that much. But I got with the part of Ric Flair's robe, the replica Hall of Fame ring, the limited edition Flair Funko Pop.
Yeah, but instead of us getting a Ric Flair showcase, we get a shitty Daniel Bryan showcase. So that makes sense in the game.
Ric Flair better sign the case to that game too for you.
So
when you open the game case, it better play 2001.
Yeah, but keep in mind, Flair, all-time favorite, tied with Shawn Michaels. So to me, plus I just really think having the replica Hall of Fame ring is really cool to have too. Like that'd be a really cool thing just to have.
Well, that would go on my display, Yeah, I understand that.
And plus, I actually really play the games, and I go in and set up, every night having a show. I have a classic edition, where I have old WWE and WCW guys, and download creations, and I have put the old belts on them, and then I do, a 205, I do a NXT, I do a Raw, I do a SmackDown, I do a women's show. Yeah. And so, when I actually have free time, I get a lot of use out of it. In fact, me and a friend of mine used to, do like fantasy booking where he'd book one show, I'd book another, and we, trade talent and do super shows and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I do the same thing with 2K. I have, I got a Raw, SmackDown, NXT, 205. I have an ECW show, and I also run all the old pit characters.
You have a bingo hall for it?
Yeah, actually, in the community, I downloaded a nice little bingo hall, and then for Saturday night, I have all the 15 versions of Flair.
15.
I have the 15 versions of Flair and all the old people on Saturday night's main event, and I made that a major show with you put old titles on that one. So no, I feel you on that, but
in 32.
I'm going to bury it myself because I don't see enough of a reason to
it's been the same game for 4 years.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's been a rinse and repeat, and they've gotten enough of my money. I only bought 18 because it was on sale, literally for like $25. It was a deluxe version. I'm like, okay, I'll spend that to play.
Also, I have a new system now, so.
I was about to say, y'all thought you still were rocking a PS3.
No, I've got an Xbox One now.
Oh, look at you coming up in the world. All right. Last push, less barrier to push it. Tessa Blanchard signs with WoW. Pushing that a barrier.
Bury it. WoW was irrelevant in 2001. She's wasting her time and not going to WWE and fighting with Charlotte.
Well, I mean, she can only go to WWE if they sign her, but I did think I saw that, and I'm a big Tessa fan, you know, and I think it's a step backwards. I mean, you know, she can only go to WWE if they sign her, but I mean,
but she was already there.
Well, she was only there for one match.
Right.
And that was for the Mae Young Classic. And, you know, Mae Young Classic last year, they made two major mistakes in my book. There are two.
First there was Moolah.
Moolah wasn't in the Mae Young Classic last year.
I thought the name was Moolah first, wasn't it? What was the thing when they named it Moolah? That Battle Royal.
That was the Battle Royal.
No.
Yeah.
The two glaring mistakes they made last year was one, eliminating Tessa in the first round when she was so fluid, so good, and she just has the it factor. I mean, she just sizzles on screen, and she's so good in the ring, and she just has that presence about her. And the other was eliminating Santana Garrett in the first round.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I mean, Santana, looking at that field objectively and having been a fan for almost 40 years, just looking at the wrestlers, she was the most polished of the field in the first round. Mm-hmm. And she was the one you could tell was the most comfortable. She was one who knew what she was doing, was the most fluid. And here's the thing. How'd they get Alexa Bliss over it? They got her over by pointing out when she first came up, she looks just like Harley Quinn. They had her do the pigtails, and they did.
Yeah, they did. Margot, we're going to make her look like Harley Quinn.
They did that, and the first thing they did, Santana's always pushed her Wonder Woman look. Wonder Woman movie had just come out, and they said, hey, we've got our Wonder Woman. Why not push her the same way? You know, and Santana can actually work. She could have gone up to the main roster and outworked most of the women up there.
Yeah. I watched Santana on MLW recently, and I agree with pretty much everything you said. My one problem with Santana is she seems to wrestle down to competition. When she's wrestling someone who doesn't work well, she doesn't look good. She's like a pro sports team, like an NFL team that just plays down to competition. She like wrestles down to competition.
I think there's something for it being said that, one, keep in mind she's a trainer. And she's one of the only people who specifically trains women.
Yes.
And there's also a thing of like, and I think even Flair would say this, like if you've got someone who you really can't bring up, you kind of sometimes have to kind of dumb down, you know. And there was a hilarious story Cornette told about when the Midnights went to Mid-South. And they were working against Lanny Poffo and Rick Rude. And Rick Rude was really green, you know, and this is when he's still Rude, R-O-O-D.
R-O-O, yeah.
And he says, and Condrey gets him in a head, or he's got Condrey in a headlock, and Condrey says, all right, I'm going to throw you off. You hit Bobby. I'm going to drop down, and then you get it again. Or he says, I'm throw you off, hit Bobby. I'm going to drop down, and you get it again. He says, what? Throw you off, hit Bobby, and drop down, and you get it again. What? I'm going to push you off. When you come to the ropes, you punch Bobby. I'm going to drop down. You jump over me. When I stand up, you get the headlock on me again. And Rude was just like, I'm confused. And he was like, okay, just tag out. So, sometimes you just have people you work with and they don't get it, and you just got to make it overly simple, And I mean, Rude ended up being a great worker,
That's true. That's a good point, because MLW does have a lot of workers who are kind of green.
Watch Santana against Britt Baker.
Mm-hmm. No, I've seen Santana. I've seen her have great matches. I mean, I've seen her have some really excellent matches. I was just kind of surprised to see her not look so good against substandard competition, but that is true. She is a trainer. She does often work with people who need to get built up. But speaking of built up, I know Ray was hoping that we would avoid this, but Hell in a Cell was on Sunday. So I'm going to go down this card, which Ray's already shaking his head in disgust.
Ray, did you even watch this card?
I didn't watch that first match. I don't watch pre-card.
He doesn't watch the pre-show. But because there was a title on the stake, I included the pre-show. So for the pre-show match, we have the New Day champions against Rusev and Aiden English, where that goes 8 minutes and 49 seconds.
Rusev Day!
With Kofi Kingston pinning Aiden English in 8 minutes and 49 seconds.
I saw the highlights. Didn't watch the pre-show, I'll be honest with you.
I didn't watch the pre-show either, to be honest. I'm a New Day mark to an extent. I love Rusev, but I'm kind of glad that Aiden English attacked him on SmackDown, because I think Aiden English is holding him back if they decide to do anything with Rusev to begin with, which I doubt.
I actually love the pairing of Aiden English and Rusev. I love having him come out and sing for him. I think it's great. I do think it kind of limits what you can do with Rusev as a single unless he becomes strictly his manager. But
he's got Lana. Like, what does he need a male manager for?
Well, it's just whether or not what you're going to do with Lana. They can't. It seems like they can't decide, is Lana a wrestler or is she a manager?
Well, you saw her work. She's not a wrestler.
Yeah.
Don't tell her that.
Neither is Naomi, and they made her champion.
Well, she's got more talent than Lana, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I would debate that point. I think they're pretty much tied in the talentless department.
All right, well, let's go to Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton, which Orton goes over in 24 minutes and 50 seconds. I personally enjoyed this match, but I love watching Randy work, and I'm a Hardy Boys fan. So
it was a great match until the ending, where I had to watch Randy Orton roll off the table, and then 20 seconds later, Jeff Hardy fell. And
it wasn't 20 seconds; it was more like 3 seconds. But it was a little.
It was drawn out.
Yeah. And they did try to cover it up by saying he lost his grip, that he didn't jump, that is, he just lost his hand grip, which at least the announcers tried to cover that up, and it was a good match. But here's my problem with it. Now we did see Randy's leg get cut open, which was obviously a hard way from, I guess, one of the tables, and that looked gross. But here's the thing: it's a cage match. There's no blood. I know WWE is PG and they don't want to have blood, but it's a cage match. Cage matches call for blood. You're slamming people into steel repeatedly. It's unrealistic that you're not going to bleed. A cage match without blood is like having sex with your clothes on.
People do that in public places all the time.
What's the point?
Well, I think they made up for it. Instead of anybody getting color, the cage got color. So
yes, because they didn't want to see the blood, so they made the whole cage blood colored, just to help you think that there's blood.
Yeah, it looked like a McDonald's Playland, which I posted on Instagram. Yeah,
it was horrible. Yeah, it took away from watching the match. It's just an eyesore as a red cage.
It was ridiculous, and like I said.
What's wrong with the steel cage? What's wrong with the steel-colored steel cage?
Yeah. As I told one of my friends who wasn't watching, I said, it looks like they have that obnoxious raw light on the cage the whole time.
It was a travesty. I don't understand what that was all about.
But, cage matches call for blood. And if you're having a cage match, no blood, having sex with your clothes on.
Well, I mean, the Hell in Cells traditionally, I mean, first one, HBK bloodied up to a pulp. Obviously, we know what happened with Foley. Both times.
Yeah, they don't
Triple H and Foley. I mean, the Hell in a Cell ones have traditionally had bloody. However, I don't recall anyone getting color in the New Day Usos tag.
Well, no, that's because it's the PG era. But I mean, have you seen Brock and Taker's Hell in the Cell?
Yeah,
that was one of the. That was one of the bloodiest. Affair. Yeah, that's one of the bloodiest matches I've ever seen. That's one.
Though they do claim that Brock bladed during that match.
Well, don't forget DX versus the McMahons and Big Show.
The Big Show. By the way, I'm talking about their Hell in the Cell from 2002.
Yeah,
I know that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
The one before the
and they both bladed in that match.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the broken hand one with the Undertaker.
Yeah, and Heyman bladed too.
Yeah.
In that one, but yeah,
they have great chemistry together. Well,
oh my god.
Until the last match at SummerSlam, but they had great chemistry.
Yes, they do. They did. Yeah. All right. So next we've got a match I was looking forward to in Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch, which I thought was stupid that Charlotte had the title to begin with. I mean, she came back after getting her, her upgrades, and then got the title and held it for here I'm back. Give me the belt, and now I get to drop it to someone who I think deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
Becky Lynch gets the pin in 13 minutes and 49 seconds.
And Charlotte has now become She-Roman.
Yeah, and that's not her fault, unfortunately.
They was going to go on a rant on how they transfer the women's title to different women every 4 weeks. But, I'm going to save that for another time. I just feel like it's never going to get prestige if Charlotte's now the 19-time women's champion for no reason. It was a great match.
Yeah.
But she didn't need it. It's pointless. And her on SmackDown, to me, is pointless. She needs to be on Raw. But that's...
Well, in all fairness, Carmella held the belt for 4 months, and I thought she did. And
she was great.
And she was great at it. And before that, Charlotte held it. She held it for almost 5 months. So, I mean, it's not like they hot potatoed the title a lot. But here's the thing, and this is where I have a real issue. There's always been a long-standing rule in promoting, and that's listen to the fans. They blew a clear opportunity because they're telling this story wrong. Becky is so obvious the baby face here.
Yeah, Charlotte is a natural heel.
She's a Flair. They're born heels.
Charlotte can't cut a babyface promo. Look, I respect Charlotte. I think as far as workers go, she's one of the 2 best female workers they have, or she's probably the best worker they have. And as far as an overall package, she's one of the 2 best. Okay, but she can't cut a babyface promo. She doesn't know how to play herself as a babyface.
No, because she's not a babyface.
And then she comes in, she cuts herself into the match, which is the heel move.
Right.
And then she pins her best friend to win the title.
Which is the heel move.
Right.
Yes.
And then the crowd is hating her. Everybody wants to see Becky win, but they're trying to make Becky, I mean, this is going over so bad. And the crowd is literally just crapping all over Charlotte, cheering for Becky the whole time. There's anti-Charlotte fans in the crowd. There were multiple reports that there were literally people confiscating anti-Charlotte fan signs in the crowd.
Probably
just like they did anti-Rock signs back in the day.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're telling the story wrong. There have been multiple times they turned it the other way, but Charlotte's just much better as a heel. Becky's much better as the sympathetic baby face. She's got the better story because she's had the hard background. Her career almost ended because of injuries. Mm-hmm. She's got those big doe eyes. You just want to feel sorry for her,
Yeah.
While Charlotte's grew up the rich kid and Ric Flair's daughter, and Charlotte just has that face that you want one of the girls to slap her,
Yeah, she has that. She plays a smug, entitled, second generation look. She plays it off well. But excellent match. Great The finish, I agree. Everything is great except for
match was great. It's just they're telling the wrong story.
But Becky should be the babyface. I agree.
Right.
Then we had the tag team match: Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre against Rollins and Ambrose, where Ziggler gets the pin.
That's when I took a potty break.
I wasn't. The match itself wasn't anything super great to me until
I love
the
finish.
The finish was amazing. The timing to set that finish up, fantastic.
But they're wasting Drew McIntyre.
Yes, they are. He should be the world champion.
Drew McIntyre. Now, when he was in NXT, they used him perfectly. They brought him in and used him as he should be used. He got hurt. They bring him up, and he's Dolph Ziggler's lackey. And
he's Diesel to Dolph's HBK.
But at the same time, he can work. I mean, to me, that's the guy I'm going to push over Dolph. Yeah. Because Dolph has been doing the same thing, and it's tired, and it's old to me. And you know what? I mean, you got this guy. He's huge. He's good looking. He can work, and he's got the drive. And he, WWE said there's nothing there, and he was like, oh yeah, and he went out and became the biggest star in the world. And literally, there was no bigger star on the independent scene than him.
Yeah. Until
he got off the independent scene.
And then Cody took over, but yeah.
Right. Well, Cody came on right when Drew left.
Right when Drew left, exactly.
Right. Yeah. And so, that guy a guy his size that can do the moves he can do. Right.
Yeah.
He looks like $1 million. He looks like you should be putting something on him. He looks like that guy that the girls want to be with, the guys want to be. Type guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
somebody that makes Vince McMahon go nuts. Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't see why Vince is going, God, look at him.
Yeah.
Look at the,
Well, why put him? I don't understand putting him with Dolph anyway. Yeah. When you bring, even though I'm not a big fan of his, when you bring,
I can't stand Dolph. Don't get me started on him.
No.
Well, not Dolph, but I don't mind Dolph. But
I'm so tired of Dolph Ziggler. He's never getting over. I don't know why they're trying to force him.
Well, he was over, and then they killed it.
Like 10 years ago. His time's done.
Yeah.
I'll give you my real feelings about Dolph when we get to the main event. Okay.
Okay. Well, when you bring over, what crap? Now I can't remember his name. What is his name?
Drew McIntyre?
Not Drew. No.
Dolph Ziggler?
No.
Roman Reigns?
No. Third.
Dean Ambrose?
Hush.
Roman.
No. They're part of the 3-man band. It's Slater, McIntyre, and
Jinder Mahal.
Mahal. That's right. So you bring Jinder. Jinder's on Raw now. Why would you just not have them come back together? You got two guys who were nobodies, who are now these big monsters. Like, why would you not have them just?
Well, they killed Jinder Mahal off. His character, he'll never recover from this.
Well, and he never should recover. And let's think about this: the 3-man band, the guy with the least talent is the one who's been the world champion.
Yeah, but now he's vascular. Look at him.
Yeah, but he looks like something that you would find hiding under your bed at night. That dude is ugly.
But he played a great heel on SmackDown.
But here's the thing. I get what they were trying to appeal to India. I get he plays a great heel or whatever. He's a jobber. Jinder, you don't go from losing matches, enhancement matches on TV to being a world champion and expect anybody to take you seriously. Jinder Mahal is quantifiably the worst WWE champion of all time.
Well,
name one worse.
Are we staying with WWE World Champion, or are we going with World Heavyweight as well during the WWE run? Because that would be the Great Khali.
Yeah.
No, I'd still say Khali's better.
No, not even close. Not even close.
Pure shit.
Because Khali at least would be believable because Khali could do stuff. And Jinder,
he did a chop.
No, I'm talking Khali.
Barely walked.
Khali wasn't doing jobs on TV leading up to his world title run.
That's because he can't do a job. He couldn't lay down to do a job.
That's true.
That's why he couldn't do a job. Just like Giant Gonzalez couldn't do jobs because he couldn't lay down to do a job.
Giant Gonzalez did a job. I can send you a video of Giant Gonzalez doing a
He
job.
can only do a job to Taker. He's the only one that made it believable that knock him down.
No, I got another one. I'll have to send you that one too. But he debuts by beating The Undertaker. He was believable because they brought him in as a top guy.
No one remembers that, though.
I remember. Jinder was a jobber and was brought in as a jobber and portrayed as a jobber. And here's the thing. When people say he was a great heel, he was great at saying racist things. And
that's what a great heel is sometimes.
And saying cheap things. But half the time he couldn't even do his own finisher the right way. And it's not a complex move.
No, his finisher's whack.
Yeah.
It's not a complex move. And I can't tell you how many times on pay-per-view he couldn't do the move the right way.
Well, now
and that's the time of all times you should be doing it.
So we'll never have to worry about him again.
Thankfully. All right, next we've got AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. AJ gets the pin, not surprisingly, at 18:59.
Actually, I was surprised by that.
I wasn't surprised at all because AJ's going to break CM Punk's streak. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
he's not going to lose the title until he passes that. He'll probably
Brock already passed it.
Yeah, but no one cares.
Brock's a different title. He never beat CM Punk's streak.
Right.
Brock is the Universal title. CM Punk,
but WWE is already hyping it that he's the longest reigning champion of the modern era.
But no one's buying it.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't defend it, but that's because CM Punk defended it all the time.
Right.
But
and AJ's defending it all the time, and he's still over. He's not. He's going to hit 500 days before he drops that thing.
And I saw AJ Friday.
I know. I saw the picture. You lucky SOB.
And he is tiny.
He's small. He's like 5'9".
Yeah,
he's 5'9". Yeah, he's my height because they advertise him as 5'11", and I got over close to him, and I'm like, he's 5'9", and there's no way he's 200 and anything.
Oh no, that man's 180 pounds.
Well, it was predictable he was going to win because Samoa Joe always has to look for the pool. So AJ was going over. Going over.
Clearly, AJ. He's AJ. He looks better. Right. Now, to me, this match was always good because AJ and Samoa Joe always put on great matches.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand how Daniel Bryan and Botch Mode are over on the card, higher on the card than he is, and Rousey and Bliss are higher on the card than he is, and then that makes no sense to me.
Well, I feel like they've made the WWE title the secondary title, which it should not be.
No, it's the title.
Title.
Yes.
It should be the title, but they don't see it that way. Whatever's on Raw is the top title.
It's ridiculous.
Just dumb.
They're shitting on their own company.
Right.
The title's named after their company.
Right. It's not there's not W Universal.
Well, I guarantee if they do a brand trade next year and they switch the titles, then WWE title will start being the main event.
Yeah, they won't do that though because I'm sure they want the WWE title on Fox when they go to Fox. Because that's when SmackDown will be the #1 show.
Right. We got Daniel Bryan and Botch Mode versus Miz and Maurice.
Wait, are we not going to talk about the finish of that match? What happened in the end?
What, Styles and Joe?
Yeah, where the tap out.
Well,
no, because you know why? Because it's from the story. Because AJ's not going to lose because they're not going to have.
Yeah, but here's my thing. I think that actually made AJ look bad because AJ's supposed to be Mr. Christian, nice guy, Mr. Integrity and stuff. And then
they don't play on to that really.
And then AJ doesn't acknowledge he tapped out.
Of course not. He wants to say the champion, but
he won the title with a low blow. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But I'm like, AJ, I don't know. I just thought it made him look bad because he keeps up such an image, and they do actually play into a lot of that. And he's Mr. Wholesome.
Yeah, not as much as they did for Shawn. They were all constantly talking about Shawn's face, where AJ is more implied.
And so it's.
I didn't like the finish. It's overdone. Ever since Bret Hart, Roddy Piper, WrestleMania 8, they've been doing it all I don't know. It's just Just annoys me.
Well, at least they wait a few years between doing it, and this was different because there was the tap, and I haven't seen the double tap pin since Taker and Angle in 2002.
So at least it's been a while.
July 4th, 2002.
All right, so then we got I don't even want to talk about this match because I just can't stand the fact that they had it.
Can we just skip it?
Yeah. So Maurice pins botch mode at 12:59.
In a bathroom break of a match, and nobody gave two shits.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I actually watched it and enjoyed it because Maurice played the perfect old school heel, refusing to lock up with Brie, refusing to tag in, refusing to meet her. The psychology of the match was good, and they did a great job by not letting Brie into the match until the very end.
No one wants to see her mess anything else up.
Well, and here's the funny thing, and I thought about you, Matt, when I was watching this, because right up until the very end, even when Brie got in, I was like, wow, she hasn't botched anything yet. And then she botched the pin.
Exactly. All right,
and I was like, I thought too soon.
For some reason, I don't think Maurice can take bumps. She hasn't actually been in a match where she actually was physical.
That's a good point. I haven't really seen her take a real bump either.
Every time she's in there, she has a reason to get out. So I don't know if something's going on, but yeah, she hasn't taken a bump.
Well, she did just have a baby.
She did just have a baby.
But that was even before she had the baby. When she first came back with the Miz, she was in a match, and she didn't take a bump either.
That's true. All right, moving on because we're running low on time here. Rousey versus Bliss. Rousey submits Bliss in 12 minutes.
Now, I know you like to hate on Rousey, but this match, not just me, all across the board, every wrestling website, Bleacher Report, everybody gave this match glowing reviews. Rousey showed she could sell in this match. They worked a much better match. They protected Alexa in this match. Rousey worked a completely different match. Now, she still can't do that spinning Samoan drop thing that she's using as a setup, which also makes no sense as a setup to the armbar. And her working armbar doesn't look that good, which doesn't make any sense because she's supposed to be the master of the armbar. It doesn't look that good. And I don't see why they don't play more into Lexi being double jointed. But overall, they told a good story with that match. And obviously because they let Lexi call the match, but Ronda sold. She didn't just go in there and be like, I'm going to be a beast and not do anything. She sold. She got her butt kicked for, 11 and a half minutes, and then made the comeback. And it was a lot better than people were expecting it to be. I'm not saying it was a 5-star match, but it was better than expected. She's
definitely getting better. She's improving, but she's not there yet.
Yeah, I would agree. She's improving. I just don't think that they're booking it well. For being a legitimate fighter, I think she should be bulldozing people still.
Yes,
protecting her.
She should be a heel.
She should be a heel. And whoever's doing her makeup needs to stop because she looks terrible.
Yeah,
whoever's doing her hair, except for this one, her hair looked good. Other times, her hair looked a mess.
I actually think they should have taken the belt off of her here because you had her injured. You had the two heels at ringside, and give her something to overcome now.
If you're going to make her a face, yeah.
Because
have something that's actually a challenge to her.
Because you get the two heels and knock Natty out, ram her face first in the steps or something. You have them, do something to her ribs at ringside, have Lexi put her in a Boston Crab or something like that, where she passes out from the pain. She won't tap out,
Right.
She passes out from the pain, make her a hero, and now she's got something to come back for at No Mercy or whatever they're doing next month.
Right.
And then you've got a bigger story.
Evolution is next month.
Right. All right, next one, last one, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Hell in a Cell, Mick Foley referee.
Wait, before we get to that, you've got Ronda and the Bella Twins on the same team in Australia.
Don't.
How many? Who do you think is going to botch more? Because neither one of the Bellas can work. And Rhonda is so new. I'm not saying she's a better worker. She's just new. But
no, she's a better worker than both Bellas already.
And so, who do you think is going to have the most botches?
Bree botch mode, clearly.
Bree.
Unless they don't tag her in, which hopefully they don't. Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, no contest in about 24 minutes. My one question is, how do you have a no contest in a Hell in a Cell match? There's no freaking rules.
This ruined the whole pay-per-view. The show was good up until this. I was really enjoying the show. I had not enjoyed SummerSlam. I'd hated SummerSlam. And this show I was enjoying. And then we got to this. And first you get all the ridiculousness with their teams coming in and fighting on top of the cage in the most contrived spots ever.
Yeah, that was stupid.
And they're bringing weapons up there, and then they're just doing just the most contrived. And you got Seth and Dolph on the side. Oh, I'm gonna ram your head. I'm gonna ram your head. Let's ram both our heads at the side, And I was waiting for someone to hopefully just push Dolph off the top of the cage so we never have to see him again. That's my true feelings about Dolph there. But,
oh wow! Tell them how you feel.
And then there's one point where, and then the whole time they're fighting, Roman and Braun are just down in the ring, just the whole time, just laying there, And what was so devastating that for 10 minutes you guys are just laying there, and why hasn't the referee counted both of you out?
Yeah, it made no sense.
And then at one point, all four guys are laying on top, so you got two guys laying down the ring and four guys laying on top of the cage. And it was just completely stupid.
It was crap.
And then you bring Brock in, and he comes in and F5s everybody. And instead of just being like, oh, come on, get up, it just ruined the show. And another case of WB not listening to the crowd, just like they did with Becky. So you take your most over female character and try to force her to be a heel. Now, the guy who seems to be the most over guy, Braun, you go, okay, well, he's facing Roman. We got to have Roman as the face, so let's try to turn Braun heel when nobody wants to boo Braun.
No.
Exactly.
And that's stupid.
Yeah.
I could sum the match up in one statement. It was worse than Mick Foley's perm. So.
Oh, wow. Well, there's no foul in that, Ray. You killed that. That's going to end this episode. Inaugural episode of Breaking Ring Rust. Until next time, everybody, thank you for listening. This is a Jeek Nation production. Your hosts, Rockinmrmagic, JT, and Ray. Until next time, peace. Oh, no!